Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me. Today, I'm going to be reviewing Captain America: Brave New World. Not going to be a play-by-play. Just going to go through beginning, around start events in the beginning, middle, jump around here and there. Just give you my feeling, my thought, my opinion about what happened in the movie, what went wrong in the movie, some of the things I did like in it. To start off, we'll try to start at the beginning. Try to keep it a little cohesive. We began with them introducing Thaddeus Ross. See Harrison Ford play the role. He looked good at it. He played it well. I enjoyed his presence a little too much. If that's something weird to say, it is, because it is weird to say. It shouldn't be focused on him. It is a Captain America movie. However, that's one of my gripes. We'll get to that later. With the introduction of Thaddeus Ross, it was nice. Showed his presence. He commanded that stage, did well, and being a star playing the role. It was nice to see Harrison Ford get into the MCU and play a role that he can nail. He's done it previously in presidential roles in other movies, so that was good to see. I hated how they did the exposition at the beginning. That newsreel where they just dumped everything that happened from Incredible Hulk back in 2008. How they ran through that in a background newsreel was a thought. Didn't really work well for me. I didn't really enjoy it. It went ahead and also dropped random lines that you wouldn't expect a news reporter or a newscast to say in regarding, just simply the one where they discuss about Betty Ross being the ex-girlfriend of Bruce Banner. Random. No news report would say something like that, in my mind at least, in regards to a character that's not even in this movie at all, which is a crime in itself. So either way, they did that. They started off with that. Then they had Sam Wilson's first big scene as Captain America in his own solo movie. Sam Wilson in Winter Soldier, or Falcon and Winter Soldier. Phenomenal. I'm a huge fan of Sam Wilson and the way he characterized his character is. As a Captain America, I wanted them to explore that a little further, give him more depth in his character and the way he presented himself in the movie. He went ahead and played the part very well. I enjoyed what Anthony Mackie did, how he portrayed it. He continued on, ho-hum, how he was since, like I said, from Falcon and Winter Soldier. I just felt like, again, this ended up being a Thaddeus Ross movie, not a Captain America movie. And even worse, it was clearly a sequel to Incredible Hulk 2. It wasn't a Captain America movie, in my opinion. Now, I loved every single Captain America previously. Loved Steve Rogers as Captain America. He was phenomenal. Or to Steve Rogers, Captain America, sorry. I loved Chris Evans as Captain America. He did a phenomenal job at that. So Sam Wilson had a lot of, heavy lifting to do to come into the role as Captain America. I wanted to see more of that burden. I wanted to see him. I know we got a lot in Falcon and Winter Soldier. I wanted to see that be the main focus of this movie, and him dealing with a major crisis with that. Now, again, this ended up being a sequel to Incredible Hulk 2, which is, I like that movie. It wasn't like the greatest, but it was pretty good, and I wouldn't have mind seeing a sequel to the movie. But if you're gonna do one, don't just paper wrap that with a Captain America logo. That's, again, a disservice to Captain America, disservice to it being Sam Wilson's first movie as Captain America. And if you're gonna do that, you got to at least bring in Hulk. It's absolutely asinine that Hulk was not in a movie like this, even if it's a cameo, even if for some reason he has to pass it off to Sam Wilson. It makes no sense to have all of the players from Incredible Hulk 2, the original, sorry, this ain't 2, the original Incredible Hulk, and not have the Hulk in this movie itself, even if you're calling it a so-called Captain America movie. Crime, criminal, fully criminal stuff to do. But that's what we're getting. Captain America did what I would expect Captain America would do with this kind of scenario. Like, he's not going to be able to beat Hulk straight up. He's not going to be able to handle him correct. In this case, Red Hulk, beat him straight on. He's going to have to do some maneuvering, especially with words, which Sam Wilson's wheelhouse. That's what he's good at. You've seen it demonstrated in his series. So, not surprised that that's how the end result was. Not kind of what I wanted as an end result. But we'll get to that some more later. Now, in his action set piece at the beginning, phenomenal. Stunts was beautiful. Choreography was beautiful. The way he used his shield, the way he used his vibranium armor, the wings, all that beautiful stuff that we don't see often. So it was phenomenal to see. Enjoy that. Giancarlo Esposito coming in as Sidewinder. He did his thing. Big fan of Giancarlo Esposito. Phenomenal as his role. The role itself kind of was like nothing really special. Didn't really have much development. Didn't really do anything special in terms of like making him important outside of being the guy who's taking the thing. You know, that's it. He was just a mini obstacle. Nothing special. However, again, he ate up the role. That's what he does. He does every villain phenomenal. This is all. So they just snagged him off the streets and said, hey, play this role, do your thing. He did his thing. But again, into the scope of the movie, it was almost a non-factor, like almost irrelevant. So, Super Society itself, same deal, same kind of like run. They were there, they were an obstacle. They really didn't present much of a threat, but so on and so forth. So, Sam Wilson goes through that nonsense, and we find out it was adamantium that he ends up having to snag back from them that they stole. That was the MacGuffin in this situation. It got back to the States. They had a little party at the White House, and like Ross is president at this point. He's going ahead and doing his thing, and they bring in Isaiah Bradley as someone Sam Wilson brings on, as well as Falcon, his new Falcon. Forgetting his name for some reason, but they bring him along. They go ahead and go to this party. Let's first touch Isaiah Bradley. Phenomenal throughout the movie. I enjoyed him at his presence. He played his role. He was cool. I loved it. Falcon, annoying. I mean, I liked his character for the most part. The way they used him was for comedic relief at times, and it was too heavy-handed. I mean, it kind of like was off-putting in terms of like the scene or the moment. So I wasn't a huge fan there. They have this situation occurring where Bradley gets hypnotized, gets framed for trying to assassinate the president. He flees and eventually gets caught once he comes to his senses, and is essentially trying to, defend himself as being innocent for the situation, which he was. So Isaiah Bradley's in jail. Sam Wilson's gonna obviously do whatever he can to get him out and figure out what happened. Why was Thaddeus Ross have an assassination attempt occur? So Captain America doing Captain America things, trying to figure out what's going on and protect the head of America. Now, then they also brought in Ruth. I forget what her name is, but Ruth. She is Secret Services for Thaddeus Ross, and she is there to investigate what happened. As a character, I felt like it was half-baked. Like, cool, she's there. They try to make her as important as possible to the movie itself, but she just seemed like a person. Like, you would never thought she was some kind of comic book character. Obviously, I've heard of how she strays from being similar to her comic book character, but either way, her presence wasn't really like the strongest. She was there, She showed her badassness with her Black Widow moves and everything to that nature. Very distractingly small, but the acting itself was good. She was a good presence. Just didn't feel like it was necessary for the most part. Then you get into, let's say, further down, like there was a scene where they are fighting over the water because they have to try to quell things between U.S. and Japan, because it ends up being a race for the adamantium in the ocean. Now, the scene itself with the battle was, again, beautiful choreographed. All the action I've seen in this movie was pretty good. I was impressed by it. I wanted to see more of that rather than all the other drama itself. It was a little questionable in terms of all of that. But again, this was a scene where that thing I mentioned about Falcon being, a little, he seemed very naive in terms of everything he did in this movie. They made him set himself up to get messed up, and getting messed up, so in probably like one of the most unnecessary ways. And Sam has to deal with that stress and that conflict or that issue. And then after that, you have Bucky Barnes show up to try to console him, tell him, hey, make his quick cameo, tell him, hey man, you're good, dude. He does give that one good line, like, you're there to inspire. And then he's gone. Not there. He was only there for like a minute. That's it. That was his cameo. That felt, very worthless. Now, it's funny to me how when it comes to this movie, it follows a lot like Winter Soldier, one of the best movies Marvel has done. Just a promise that they went ahead and kind of took the beats almost exactly from that movie, and then after that incorporated the continuation of another movie and put that together and hope that was enough in this movie. At least to me, that's how it felt, and I did not like that. That was very annoying to me, that it was like just doing that, a weaker version of one of the best movies, and then making a sequel of one of the mid movies that wasn't really technically part of the MCU when it was created, which is staggering to me, like where this thought process was. So to me, it felt like this movie was one that they kind of like felt like they were obligated to have to put out, like, at this moment, and they decided just to throw in some random thoughts that they had in terms of the plot of this movie or the scripts of the movie, and mash it together and put it out there for everyone to watch. Now, financial, I don't know why they made it, like if that was anywhere near their decision making, or how, or if they just felt like they had to put something out. I don't know none of that stuff. However, that's what it seemed like, and I did not like that. Visually, the movie was beautiful in terms of like cinematics and all the CG, except for one noticeable problem that pissed me off was in the final fight, Sam Wilson in the Rose Garden, not the Rose Garden, Cherry Blossom area. Like at some points, it was clearly CG, nothing but CG. When he's standing, basically him standing in front of a green screen. So it was clearly him standing in front of a green screen, and it was like just so noticeable that it took me out for a second. I'm like, that's green screen, right? That's just like fully green screen. So I had to stop paying attention to the movie itself and actually just like notice, like, that's poorly done. And I did not like that. Outside of that though, most of the others, cinematics, everything else looked beautiful, crisp, clean, and well done. It's just, that was just one glaring moment where it was like, they needed to put more work there. But that was fine. Characters, Betty Ross was a random one. I did not see that coming. Kind of got a feeling midway, like, oh wow, this is really gonna be very related to Incredible Hulk. And then when they had her little moment where she was talking on the phone, And I was like, okay, so they got it for a line, and then they then reveal her at the very end. I'm like, okay, why is she here? Like, they made it seem like she was the biggest character ever to reveal at that moment. I don't think Betty Ross was really that major of a character in the first place. Her being a big reveal type thing at the very end, like the thing that makes you go like, wonderful, was like probably one of the dumbest decisions I've ever seen in my life, especially in one of these movies. Arguably, there's obviously plenty of them, but that was just so left field in terms of a wow factor that once she showed up on screen, I was like, so she is here? Like, she is a character that they're gonna actually like incorporate. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, no Bruce Banner. Entire movie. Whatever. Let's go on with the other villain in the movie, the Thinker. Not Thinker. The Leader. The Leader himself. I loved like his presence, what he was doing. I forget the actor's name, but his menacing like energy was great. I enjoyed that. The design on like how they made him appear, second rate. It was pretty gross. I would say it's gross. I don't know if that's what they wanted to go for, but that's what it came with. Like, it was a very weird looking aesthetic they put out. They could have just kept it simple, made him green, and like, I don't know, maybe expand his head like a little bit more abnormally. Just the route they took was very left field to me as well. I didn't understand it, didn't like it, wasn't a fan. However, again, as a menacing presence, he was phenomenal at that. Some of his decision makings makes me question his intellect, which is weird for a character that's meant to be very intellectual, and he's playing with probabilities. He should know what's the best move to play. I don't understand for the life of me why he turned himself in. No clue, not a single idea. There was no reason for him to have to turn himself in for this situation to occur. None. He could have figured out he's like stupidly smart. He should have been able to find a way to like confront Sam Wilson, and then after that just say deuces and whatever means necessary. Not just stand there and surrender. Well, what kind of like logic is that? Why would you want to be captured? You were just in jail, personal jail, but jail nonetheless, for all this time, and you just come out and just say, "Okay, I'm going. Take me in." Nah, I did not like that. That didn't make any sense to me. And some of his actions were a little, again, makes you question where his intellect is at times for someone that's supposed to be highly intellectual. But outside of that, he did come with some, menacing moments and served a little bit at that point. Now, let's go on to Ross. He was, like I said, he was good. Like I said at the beginning, very good. He played his role very well. I enjoyed it. They clearly try to go the redemption route with him. He just literally had a guy in an unsanctioned prison type thing and deal going and exploiting him. But I guess that's something that we're gonna try to turn a new leaf on immediately. So, sure, whatever. We're gonna go redemption arc. So they try to go that route. It was nice. I again, Harrison Ford played the crap out of that role. I enjoyed it. Once he went ahead and turned into the Red Hulk, it was cool. I enjoyed it. It's just that they definitely nerfed Red Hulk from the comics and other source material. He was supposed to be probably more like Avenger level threat. That's why it was like weird that Sam managed to come out of it, like, with all his limbs. Honestly, he should have been decimated immediately. But vibranium armor, he used it well. He made it so that he can at least survive enough to get through. But like I said, they nerfed Red Hulk. He's supposed to be significantly more threatening in terms of actual Avenger level threats. But Ross, like I said, he was played well. He went through his arc. He's injured in the raft. He can't always come back. They do have Baron Zemo in there. They could start some other nonsense going with the villains that's held up there. But it seems like they want to just go ahead and say like he's redeemed and he's going to just do his time. So I feel like that might be the end of it with the Red Hulk, which is kind of disappointing. Like I mentioned, they nerfed them. They could have done so much more. Hopefully, maybe they do a Hulk movie, which I believe is in the pipeline that incorporates them, but it doesn't seem likely. But we'll see. Who else am I missing? So overall, with the movie itself, I thought it was okay. Heavily disappointing. That's without question. Extremely disappointing. Again, I've been a fan for every single one of the Captain America movies. He is one of the my favorite comic book heroes growing up. So I expected more out of this movie. It was just very clearly like a haphazard constructed movie. It looked like, from what I heard in development, they had to go through a lot of reshoots, a lot of change-ups. But it showed that they lost it a bit in terms of how they wanted this movie to go, and it came out like a Frankenstein type movie. Again, it is a sequel to Incredible Hulk 2. It is not an actual Captain America movie. It's just Captain America's in it. He's in it. They try to make it his movie by kind of like adding beats from Winter Soldier to give him a plot line, but it is a sequel to Incredible Hulk 2. If you replaced him or Captain America, like get rid of the storyline itself about him trying to prove Isaiah Bradley innocent, just replace it with Bruce Banner and someone else he cared about, you got Incredible Hulk 2. That's it. You got it. That would have been cool. As long as we had that expectation, and then you would have had a Hulk versus Hulk kind of fight, then it would make more sense and felt more satisfying. But I don't know what the case was, why they didn't say this for like a Hulk 2, or make it a Hulk 2, and then just, I don't know, figure something else more exciting for Captain America that's related to him and makes him the lead. But lo and behold, that's not what they chose. So, the movie itself, like I said, very disappointing as a person who follows MCU highly. But it was overall a mid experience. Like, again, cinematically it looked beautiful. It wasn't too boring. It wasn't too exciting. It wasn't like mind blowing in terms of like the storyline. It was very mid. Definitely had been worse than MCU. Without question, better. But it's something that I enjoyed a little bit. I just didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. No, but outside of that, you tell me what you think. Leave a comment, like, subscribe, do all that jazz. I really want to hear your input. I like to engage. I want to know what everyone else is thinking about this movie, and get back and forth about it. But until next time, thank you for your time. Thank you for being here with me. Everyone out there, have a great rest of your day. Peace.